You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Today's consumers expect more than just a product from you. Joining us now to break down the new era in customer expectations and how you can stay ahead is Ken Hughes, who's a speaker and customer experience strategist, also known as the king of customer experience. So thank you, Ken, so much for joining us on the show today.
You're very welcome. I'm really looking forward to this chat.
As I am, and I know our viewers are as well. So let's kind of start right here in the beginning, where it's you talk about the blue dot consumer. Talk to us about that, and can you explain what this concept is all about?
Sure, it's remarkably simple, but like many metaphors, quite powerful. So when we all grew up with these unyielding roadmaps, these big, huge roadmaps you had to fold out, and you had to do all the work yourself.
Yeah.
You had to find out where you are, find out where you were going, learn the navigation routes. There was many that could be, and so it was unyielding. It was work. And now what we have is the blue dot consumer, and that blue dot consumer is that little dot on Google Maps that sits at the center of everything. So they're at the center. Every time they move, the whole frame of reference moves with them. Yeah. Everything comes to them. Everything is instant. And so as a metaphor, it just reflects the modern values of consumerism today. The consumer isn't ready to do the work anymore. They expect you to do the work. Yeah. They're not the end point of a customer journey, like some kind of terminus. They are the center around which everything needs to revolve. And that really changed the nature of our product. Because let's take Uber. Really simple example. Like Uber is a blue dot product, or Lyft. You know, we come to you. You don't have to do the work and leave the restaurant and try and find a yellow cab. No, we come to you. And we see that all through direct-to-consumer channels, but we also see every brand and business, whether it's B2B, B2C, small business, changing the nature of how they interact with the consumer. Understanding that, well, if the consumer's at the center, then what does that mean? Same with instant. There's no point in using Google Maps if it doesn't update itself continuously as you travel. So we need to communicate to our consumers with instant. It's so important. One click, one swipe. Today's consumer expects it now. Same with contextual. So if you open Google Maps and you want to go, let's say, to an Indian restaurant, it's not going to show you Indian restaurants 20 kilometers away. It's going to show you ones on the street that you're on.
That's right.
Same thing for customers. Like every time we communicate with them, we tend to talk about ourselves, our product, our brand, instead of thinking, well, hang on, what's the context here? Like, what's the consumer need from us today? What's going on in their lives? So it's really about a mind shift from focused on product and brand to a focus on actually who is the customer, what do they need, what do they want, and how can we then use our product and service to help them find that solution in their life. So it's kind of a flick of, instead of the old way of the big map of you doing all the work as a customer and realizing that you're a small part of the world, to realizing that no, the customer is the world. And that's what the blue dot consumer is all about.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. Give us an example of that. Perhaps take a widget company that's selling widgets to, maybe it's B2B or B2C, but the way that it used to be done and the way that we need to focus on it now and look at it now.
Yeah, I mean, there are some terrifying examples too. Like, so some businesses that felt that they were protected. So let's take orthodontics, right? Healthcare. Sure. And so you'd imagine an orthodontist who studied for 7 years, who has all this speciality, is protected from this kind of blue dot stuff. But actually, a company like Smile Direct came along and they got too big too fast, which is why they went bankrupt. But they got too big because the consumers thought, yes, please, I want you to post me the retainer at home. I'll take my own mold, and then you will send me the braces in the post, and I'll put them in my mouth, and 12 months later, I'll have straight teeth.
Yeah.
I don't need to go to the old system of paying 2 or 3 times the price.
Right.
So this idea of challenging, so the direct-to-consumer model just explodes because not everything needs to be, have a distributor. And so what we're pushing into really is kind of a relational space. Because we've been in the transactional part, and this is perfect for small business. Small business always understands this, that the relationship is everything. Every product can be copied. Ultimately, we're all kind of selling commodity when it comes to quality now, because everything is high quality. Everything is kind of, from a supply chain perspective, available. So what's the next competitive advantage? It's the connection, it's the relationship, it's the authenticity that you have, And so a lot of my work with big brands all over the world now, and small business, would be to say, well, how can you take what you're selling and have a genuine connection with that customer? And I always use expression that any business owner listening to this can use. Like, every time they buy your product or service, they're inviting you into their lives. They're inviting you in. So you have to honor that invitation like a host at a party. They're inviting you in. So you better kind of turn up and build a relationship here and bring a bottle of wine, a metaphorical bottle of wine to this relationship, And so I think if we view our customers more as relationships than transactions, we start to get into that customer experience space. Taylor Swift is my favorite example of this right now. So many other singers have fantastic songs and albums,
Sure.
but they don't have a Swiftie army.
That's
How come
right.
she has a Swiftie? Because she invested for 15 years in the customer experience. For
That's
15
right.
years, she's been on social media, talking to her fans, inviting them into her life,
That's right.
inviting herself into their life. And she's put the fan at the core of everything she does since she was 14.
That's right.
And what you're seeing today, the success you're seeing today, isn't accidental. It's not just, oh, well, she's the, the flavor of the month. No, no. That is a return on investment on customer
Yeah.
experience.
It was
15.
curated over time, right?
100%. And the
right.
efforts we put in. Making a customer feel seen, heard, and valued. That's connection. Will it work? 100%. How many times you have to do it depends on the industry, depends on the product, depends on what you're selling. But it is, we have to move away from transactional loyalty, which is what we think we have when we say brand loyalty, to emotive loyalty. Emotive loyalty is a genuine connection.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to seek with our customer.
Is this what you refer to as customer intimacy?
Yes. So I've stopped using the word customer experience even, because customer experience is just an event. It's a one thing. It's like in a relationship again. It's a one night stand. There you go. You had an experience. Wasn't that wonderful?
That's right.
But actually what we're looking for, there's a big difference between a one night stand and a relationship.
That's right.
Because a relationship gives you depth,
Yeah.
gives you intimacy. So the definition of intimacy is fostering a sense of closeness. And that's what we want. We don't want you to have an experience, even though that's nice, because you'll share that experience to your peer network and you'll talk about our brand, and that's good. No, I want to have an intimate relationship with you where you wouldn't even think about going elsewhere. And the only way you get to that is investing in the emotional relationship.
Right.
So customer intimacy, and they're created in moments. Let me tell you a little story. There was a family emigrating from the UK to the US and using Virgin Atlantic to fly across.
Yeah.
They get to the airport, and the lady checking them in sees a problem because behind the parents, the little 8-year-old boy is holding his goldfish in a plastic bag.
Uh-oh.
And she thinks, well, you can't bring that on board. Like,
Yeah.
there's more than 100 mils of liquid in that bag.
Yeah.
And so the boy starts crying because he's not being allowed to take his goldfish on. And she's roaring, crying in the airport, I'm leaving my friends, my school.
Sure.
The girl steps in and says, no, what I mean is you can't take the fish on board. You got to give him to me, sweetie. So he's got to go to all the other VIP goldfish on the plane today. He's got to travel with them. So the little boy dries his eyes. The parents get the boarding cards. They all think that's great. She dissolved the pain point.
Sure.
What they don't know is that when they went through security, that woman took her phone out, took a few pictures of the goldfish in the plastic bag, sent those pictures via messaging to her colleague in Atlanta,
Wow.
who left her workstation, drove to the pet shop, bought an identical looking goldfish.
Oh my gosh.
10 hours later, when that little boy landed, his fish was ready for him, having done the VIP, so all beautiful story. But that's
pretty cool.
That's employees seeing a moment that matters, seeing a moment they can make an impact, and seeing a moment that they can build a relationship for the Virgin brand and a customer.
That's right.
And everybody listening to this needs to think about, well, how can I replicate that in my business? How can I create goldfish moments? And they're there everywhere. They're there every moment of every day for you to build with a customer.
And it's important for leadership that's listening to this to empower your associates and your employees to be able to do things like that, those goldfish moments.
And the empowerment piece is really important, because neither of those women in that story had to pick up their phone and call Sir Richard Branson and say, do you mind if I take an hour off to buy a fish?
That's right.
They know they live inside an organization
that trusts them.
That supports that.
But so many things can be done even on a much lower level, right? With companies that are working with customers every single day, right? Whether it be a salesperson at an automobile dealership, or you're buying a dress from a dress shop, or whatever the case might be. Those little moments of customer intimacy can happen that I think we underestimate, don't we?
100%. And again, so I think what you need to do, once you've got the right people in your organization, that's the first thing, right? You've got to recruit people who genuinely have an interest in kind of delivering, X factor customer service.
Right.
But once you've empowered them to do it, you then need to let them find any moment that matters. And I often think small businesses are nearly better at this sometimes, because they walk into their business every day and they can think, right, where can I make a difference? And you just need to lift your chin a little bit and have a look at all the touch points. And think about, where can I make, because it's as simple as, where can I make someone smile?
Sure.
Like, where can I delight the customer? It can be the smallest of things. It can be remembering their child's birthday. It can be anything. And it's about, understanding that you're stepping into their life and connecting in a way beyond the product, that you just don't want their money. You want the relationship. Brené Brown, fantastic relationship guru, she defines connection. Her definition of connection is the feeling someone gets when they feel seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah.
Those three things. Do my customers feel valued? Do they feel seen? Do they feel heard?
Yeah.
Really, that's why customer experience has kind of come to the center, like that blue dot again, of everything that a brand stands for. It's not so much about the product or brand, it's about how you interact with your customer. And as we emerge into this AI metaverse fueled world, it's going to get more and more important. The laws of economics state that the scarcer a commodity is, the more valuable it becomes. And human connection is going to be scarcer in our tech-driven AI interface, AI virtual assistants world.
That's
So
right.
the brands that are investing now in this relationship, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, no question about it. And Ken, it's amazing how companies will spend, large and small, will spend so much of their gross dollars on advertising to win those new customers over. When in reality, you could spend, a fraction of that in the way of marketing dollars and ad budgets if you just took some of that money and spent it on, increasing that customer experience, or as you call customer intimacy, that you've got with your existing base of customers, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, customer retention and customer acquisition, these are two
Yeah.
words that we use all the time. And acquisition, we know it costs way more to acquire new
Oh
customers than
yeah,
it does.
no question.
And yet we get hysterical about our advertising campaigns, our marketing, our sponsorships, and yet we don't really look at the depth of connection we have as a potential for customers. And so
Yeah.
we do need to invest there. It's the easiest investment ever because these people are already on board. They
That's
already
right.
know our brand, they know our product, they've used our product. And so creating brand ambassadors to do your marketing for you is the key.
Yeah.
Because really we now live in a world, and we even see the demise of influencer marketing now already, where that was a kind of a fad for a while, but actually what people want is, well, people like me, like the people like me who already buy your brand, what do they say about you?
Yeah.
Because that's who I will listen to. And so really from an advertising point of view, again, you're better off investing in creating those brand ambassadors, those goldfish moments,
That's
those
right.
customers who go off and talk about your brand, who will be evangelical about the brand because of their experience.
Yeah.
So you give them the customer experience, you make it shareable, you create the brand stories, and then those stories are your strongest marketing asset. And I really do believe that. I believe your customer is your strongest, most untapped marketing asset.
Agreed, if done right, right?
If done right, and if done wrong, the opposite.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
They have a voice, and this is the danger of, unfortunately, of social media. Not everything is fact checked, and so if you have a moment where you haven't dealt with the complaint right, and you've done that to the wrong person who has a significant following, or they make a very good piece of content. They might only have a very small following, but if they have creative skills and they make a really good piece of content that is also being helped by AI now,
Yeah.
they can make it very funny, viral. That United Guitars videos, if anyone's familiar with that, Google it after watching this.
Yeah.
That is an amazing piece of viral. They broke a musician's guitar. Okay, one guy, but that one guy told millions and millions of people with a very funny song. And so, you've got to be very careful now how you handle any kind of customer complaint.
Boy, there's no question about it. Ken Hughes, customer experience strategist, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We very much appreciate it. Love to have you back because, man, I've got so many more questions, but time won't allow me to ask them in this segment. But love to have you back, and thanks so much for joining us on the show.
No problem. I look forward to it.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.